Hi everybody, it's Nina from The Happy Hustlers. Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, my husband and I are online entrepreneurs selling on Amazon, eBay, Poshmark, ThredUp. We've sold on Mercari, we've sold on pretty much everything. Today's video, I'm going to go through Amazon beginners mistakes. So mistakes that either we have made, honestly, we've probably made the majority of these mistakes, or just mistakes that we've seen other people make, people that take our course, or people that come into our leads list, just from discussions we've seen with other sellers. So I'm going to go through 5 mistakes that I see beginners make on Amazon, what you can do to avoid them. So first off, we're going to start with the first and probably the biggest mistake I see, and that is not smashing the like button on this video. I can't believe I just said that, but I said that. Just kidding. That's obviously nothing to do with Amazon. But the first mistake is definitely the biggest one, and that is lacking patience and expecting immediate results. So unfortunately, if you watch videos like mine or you watch any Amazon type content on YouTube or you search it, you definitely get those really corny, terrible Amazon ads where it's like how I took $500 and turned it into $10,000 in a month on Amazon. Just ads like that. The guys with like the fancy cars, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where they have this master course they're going to sell you and they're going to turn you into a 7-figure Amazon business in 6 months. That is bullshit. All of it is, but unfortunately, there's so much of it that people believe it because you see so many of these ads and you see so many people that claim to have this success and this immediate success that you believe that that's possible. I'm not saying success on Amazon isn't possible. It totally is. We've seen it. We've seen, tons of people who have success on Amazon, but it's not immediate. There is a lot of patience involved in selling on Amazon, on growing your Amazon business. We see a lot of people, and I talk to a lot of people on Instagram that start selling on Amazon and get really frustrated right away because Amazon approves your account and then you go to sell things and it seems like you're gated and everything. You can't really sell much. You don't really know how to progress forward. So I see a lot of frustration from the beginning. On the private label side of things, you see a lot of people who get sold a false dream with private label and they go and spend $5,000 on a product or more, run a PPC campaign and spend all this money and end up just not even making it back, end up in the red. So you see a lot of this when people start Amazon. It's very easy to get frustrated and to just quit. If you come from selling on another platform like Poshmark or eBay, it's also really easy to get frustrated because with Poshmark, you can open an account, list something, and sell it the same day. You can basically see immediate results, start to get that high of like, oh, I'm selling things, this is working. With Amazon, you have to get your account approved, then you have to find things to sell. If you're going to sell them via FBA, you have to send them into FBA. You have to wait for them to get checked in, then you have to wait for them to sell. But from the time you've opened your account to sold something, it could be at least a month. If check-in times are slow, it could be, 6 weeks, right? So that patience alone from the beginning there is very difficult. So I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that people make. It's just expecting immediate results out of things because of all the bullshit that they've been sold on how it works selling on Amazon. Amazon is a long game. You need to be patient. The first 6 months are going to suck, but you need to have to just keep going, push through that, and it will get easier. This is not an easy thing to do. And whoever is telling you it is easy is just trying to sell you something. The second mistake that I see with a lot of beginners selling on Amazon is purchasing items that you can't actually sell on Amazon, that Amazon does not allow you to sell. So these are restricted via your account. So what this mistake is, you go to the store, you find something really profitable and you purchase it without looking, am I allowed to sell this item? Am I ungated? And then you come home and you have all this inventory and you are not allowed to sell it, right? So this is an easy one to get around. Literally just check in the app every time. You just get your phone, look it up in the seller app and say, am I allowed to sell this? And if the answer is no, you cannot purchase that item. Don't purchase it saying like, oh, I've heard that people get engaged in 6 months and this brand or whatever. It's different for everyone's account. Amazon changes the rules whenever they want. And it's not really a good cash flow strategy to have inventory you're just sitting on. So always make sure that you can sell the item before you purchase it because Amazon allows certain people to sell certain things depending on their account metric. One little bonus tip with this is always apply to sell. If you scan your phone and you see I can't sell this, always click apply to sell and see if you get approved to sell that item, because a lot of times Amazon does approve you. Even if you have a new account, it's very weird, but sometimes there's certain things they call it auto ungating where it just approves when you have a new account. So always check. There's no harm in this. It does not harm your account in any single way to check and hit apply to sell. So always do that just in case, but make sure that you are allowed to sell that item before you purchase it. The third mistake that I see new Amazon sellers make is buying bad items. So what I mean by a bad item is just an item that is not going to sell, or an item that is not going to hold at the price that you're anticipating selling it for. So this usually happens because you're not looking at all of the data. We did this when we were new. I remember being in Walmart. Walmart was one of the first places we sourced just because it's easy. There's so many different options in Walmart, and like TJ Maxx and Marshalls, Ross, places like that. And all I would do is scan the item in the Amazon sellers app, look at the current data and say, looks good. Do you know how many items I bought that were total turds, like never sold? I remember looking back on them like 6 months later and being like, God, why did I buy that item, right? So honestly, I think the fundamental reason this happens is because you don't look at Keepa. You're not using Keepa. And if you're not familiar with Keepa, Keepa is a tool. You need to have the paid version. It's like $16 a month, I think. And it gives you historical sales rank data and historical price data. So it gives you a bigger picture on what that item actually looks like, not just a snapshot in the moment. So I highly, highly recommend Keepa. I'm not sure how you run an educated, smart Amazon business without a Keepa subscription. So I highly recommend Keepa. That will prevent you from buying bad items. If you have bought bad items, you have two options: liquidate, pull the price down and get it sold. Or if it's just a bad item, like it's not selling. That's one of the mistakes we made, is we bought items that the rank was just terrible because we didn't really understand rank when we were new. If it's just a bad item, just recall it and donate it and move on. It's better than having it sit there at Amazon with fees. So that is the third mistake, just buying bad items. So the fourth mistake, this is definitely a mistake we are guilty of, and I think everyone is when they're new, is buying too many items. Too many units of the same item specifically, right? Go for an example here. You're at Walmart, you scan an item, the profit's great, and they have 100 of them. And you've seen all these pictures on Instagram of people with full carts, clearing the shelf. Oh, I cleared the shelf. So you go ahead and you take 100 of those. You should not have bought 100 of those based on other criteria, but you bought 100 and now you're stuck with your cash flow tied in to 100 of that unit. I'm not saying there aren't scenarios where you would want to buy 100. There definitely are, but the data needs to be behind it, right? So let's say the estimated monthly sales on that item were 20 and there's 10 other sellers. It's gonna take you a while probably to get through 100 units of that item, right? Do you know like the sales rank? Is it good consistently, or is it just good right now? Does Amazon come back into stock? There's a lot of data you need to look into before you go and just clear the shelf. But I think when you're new, this is exactly what happened to me when I was new, is you don't find a lot of items that you can sell because so many different things are gated. So when you find something you can sell, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to buy all of these. You just clear the shelf. Some of the stuff that we bought, so many units of, it's so embarrassing now to think about. I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I buy all of those? But it was just that feeling of finally finding something you can sell and be like, oh, this is so easy, I'll just buy all of these units. And you send them off to Amazon and they're sitting there for months and months and months because maybe it wasn't a good item, or maybe you just bought way too many based on how many other sellers there were or the price history, all of that, right? So just keep in mind, just because you find a bunch of one item doesn't mean you need to buy all of it if you're doing retail arbitrage. Another thing to keep in mind with retail arbitrage is if you're going to a big box store like a Walmart or a Target, the chances of that item being clearanced out at other Walmarts and Targets is fairly high, right? So if you're getting 100, someone's getting 100 at a different Walmart, 100 at a different Walmart, blah, 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 on and on, right? That can end up with a lot of units being sent off to Amazon. So you got to keep that in mind too, the potential that the stock on that ASIN is going to go up if an item is clearanced out. So this is a really easy mistake to make if you are an excitable person. I am an excitable person, so this happened to me when we first started selling on Amazon. So just make sure you're doing your diligence when you're new to not buy too many of a unit, because too many units of the same item, because it can just really tie up your cash flow and leave you in a sticky situation, especially when you're new and you don't have as much cash flow as like a seasoned Amazon seller. So the last mistake that I see with Amazon sellers, and I think this honestly applies to any reselling business or any new small business actually, is not managing your business financials. And I know everyone's gonna click out of the video when I say this, because who wants to talk about financials and bookkeeping and taxes and all of that? But when you're running a business, even if it's just a hobby to you, even if it's just a side hustle to you, you, you still have to manage the financials regarding that business. You still have to be prepared to do your taxes. You still have to do your bookkeeping. You still have to keep things organized, or not that stuff's gonna come and punch you in the mouth when tax time comes. We've all done it. No one does their books right off the jump when they start a business. Bookkeeping is the last thing any small business wants to deal with, but the longer you wait to take care of it, the worse it is going to be. So I highly recommend from the beginning doing bookkeeping, getting some type of software. We use QuickBooks. QuickBooks is great. There's GoDaddy. Also getting separate business banking accounts, business credit cards. I'll put a link down below. I recommend the Capital One Spark card. It is 2% back on everything, which is fantastic. It just helps your profit margins. So I'll put that link down below. But just take care of your financials from the beginning. If it's going to be a business to you, treat it like a business from the first day. Also, it just gives you a clearer picture of your financial situation in your business. Can I afford more inventory? Where's my cash flow going in my business? What's my ROI on average? How much profit am I actually making? All of those types of things are very important. It's easier if you start with it from the very beginning, because I've seen a lot of people that they're 6 months or a year and they just feel completely overwhelmed by the financial aspect of things, the bookkeeping, all of that type of stuff. I really recommend getting a CPA from the beginning. That's one of my biggest regrets. We did not get a CPA from the beginning, and I know I ended up paying more in taxes than I should have because I didn't have a CPA from the beginning and I was managing things myself. Because a good CPA will save you more money than they cost you, and it will help you set up your business and get everything just in line to where your taxes is actually something you look forward to and not regret every single year. So that's the fifth one, just not managing your business financials from the very beginning. But that really applies to any small business. No one wants to manage their financials, but it benefits you in the long run. So that was 5 beginner mistakes that I see with Amazon sellers. Let me know if you've experienced any of these or have had any other mistakes you experienced when you were a new Amazon seller down in the comments. I hope you guys liked this video, and I will see you in the next video.